guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hi, welcome. If you're new here, I love having you. Today we're going to recap Dynamite from last night. Hopefully it's last night when I upload this. Who knows at this point? For some reason my camera takes super long to switch over to my computer, and then uploading to YouTube takes even longer. I don't know why that happens, but we're here. Yeah, so I'm going to recap Dynamite, talk about some of the important things that happened last night during Dynamite, at least in my opinion. Now, there are a few segments I did leave out, like the MJF Jeff Jarrett thing. I left out the Edge situation because it's, I mean, the same thing kind of happened that normally does. The Mariah May backstage segment. And I think that's it. So mostly I'm just going to be talking about the matches and then obviously the closing segment of the show, which was Kenny Omega. I will also be making predictions for the announced matches at Dynamite Maximum Carnage next week. And yeah, if you like this, if you don't, like, comment, subscribe, debate with me in the comments. And let's hop right into it. Okay, so first we're going to be starting with the opening match of the show, which was Will Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews. Overall, this match was awesome. This was a great way to open Dynamite. If not for Kenny closing, this would have main evented, which is a really good thing to say. The biggest takeaway for me, though, from this match was that we need to get behind Buddy Matthews a whole lot more, because the way he performed in ring with Will Ospreay last night was so good. Like, genuinely, I thought that he was going to win the match. And that's coming from a Will Ospreay fan. I was rooting for him too. Like, he won me over last night. Not saying that I hadn't been a fan of Buddy Matthews before this, but I gained a whole new level of respect for him last night after this match. Like, we need to push. That's not the only thing that happened during this match, because after the match, when Will obviously won, Will grabbed the mic and he gave Buddy his flowers, which, W-man. Yeah, Will gave Buddy his flowers, and, you know, he said some interesting things. You know, he started off by saying, you know, I've wrestled you and Brody King now, and I can tell you, you do not need to be following a leader. You could be going after tag gold, or even better, singles gold. Just telling Buddy that, you know, he needs to kind of think about going on his own. And then Will kind of extended his olive branch and was like, you know, if you need a guy in your corner, I'm him. Like, I can be there for you. So that was really interesting to me, because we haven't seen Malachi Black in a very long time, right? I think the last time we saw Malachi Black was when he had a match against Adam Cole, when Adam Cole was trying to get those wins up for that NJF feud, whatever the fuck. That was the last time we saw Malachi Black, and that was in what, like, October? A lot of, you know, online stuff going around, like, is Malachi Black gonna come back? Is he not? Like, what's going on? And then Sean Ross Sapp put out last night that, you know, they're trying to figure out if he's even going to be coming back to AEW at all, if his contract's up, or something like that, which is, it makes sense. It makes more sense now. Makes sense why Will now said the things he said. I feel like if Malachi was not coming back, they would kind of make an effort to push Buddy and Brody, especially since their contracts are more longer term than Malachi's is. Now, I will say that that definitely throws off my predictions for the last video. It was fun while it lasted, but it is what it is. I mean, it could still kind of be a thing if Buddy and Brody do the tag, but Trios is gonna continue to be in shambles. shit. So that segment leads into the next one, which opens up with Private Party coming out. You know, shots, 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 shots. I loved them so much. Private Party comes out, and then they're pouring up shots and stuff, and then the Hurt Syndicate comes out with MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin. And then MVP's like, you know, we want to take shots too. Like, let's all party together. And Private Party's like, fuck yeah. So they all get together. They're all pouring up shots and shit. And then MVP's like, let's make a toast or whatever. And then he hands the mic to Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Lashley goes, cheers to us taking those titles off of you. What? What? Huh? The thing about Bobby Lashley's booking, and I've been confused since he debuted, honestly. It feels like they don't really know what they want to do with him. Like, so when he first came in, they teased this thing with Swerve, right? And they had that going for a second. And then they jumped over to Daniel Garcia, and now they're jumping to the tag, and it's like, I feel like they have so many things they want to do with Bobby Lashley, they just don't know which one to set their sights on. And that's really frustrating, because I'm over here trying to keep up with what's going on, and I'm being pulled back and forth all the time. Like, what are we doing? Can we figure out what we want to do with him and just kind of stick with it for a second? Like, please. This leads into Bobby Lashley's match with Mark Briscoe. It was a good match. Predictable ending. But if anything, I think that Mark Briscoe really showed us why we love him so much. Like, the heart that he has, the drive that he has, just how good he is at, like, you know, staying perseverant is why we love him so much, and he really displayed that in this match. Now, we knew who was going to win, right? But Mark Briscoe had a good showing in this match, and I just wanted to talk about that for a second. The next match that's on the card was the Men's Casino Gauntlet. When I tell you that the Casino Gauntlet is the best thing AEW has come up with, it is. I love the concept of the Casino Gauntlet. I love it so bad. Anyways, we have this Casino Gauntlet match. Jay White comes out first, and Hangman comes out second, and they're doing their thing, you know. And then we get Wheeler Yuta, which, first of all, why? Why did we get Wheeler Yuta? Someone tell me. Because aren't you in the Death Riders with the current AEW World Champ? Like, why are you here? Why are you here? But anyways, we get him, and then we get Ricochet, who cues in Swerve's music for a second and swerves everybody. Even Hangman, which I am really upset about that, because I do kind of wish it was Swerve so we could get that Swerve Hangman thing again. I don't know. I love seeing them duke it out. That's just me. But no, Ricochet's bald ass comes out. And then like Adam Cole, Daniel Garcia, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, which Kyle O'Reilly had the conglomeration Titantron. Isn't he in Undisputed Kingdom? Hello? Yeah, so we have them, and then the eventual winner, which is Powerhouse Hobbs. This match was great. I always love a good Casino Gauntlet match. I feel like, you know, everybody in this match got their, you know, their moment, right, to shine. And then Powerhouse Hobbs came out on top, which is really dope for him because, you know, he's one of those guys that deserves it, I think. So he will be going on next week to go against Jon Moxley for the AEW World title, and we will get to that prediction in a second. Next match on the card was the three-way match for the #1 spot in the Women's Casino Gauntlet with Chris Statlander, Toni Storm, and Willow Nightingale. I am not too happy about the ending of this match. I'm really not. Like, it just, I understand why you would have Chris Statlander win. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Chris Statlander, but I feel like this was Willow's match to win, if that makes sense. Like, Willow showed her ass off, right? Like, she did it, right? She did the thing. And, like, when are we going to start pushing Willow Nightingale? Like, when are we going to get that? Because it feels like Willow keeps, you know, going above and beyond and doing all these great things and having these really good matches, but where's the reward for that? Where's the payoff for that? Hopefully, you know, this is the spot where she does get the big win that she needs. I am advocating for that as a Willow Nightingale fan, but then also just as like a wrestling fan in general. Like, it's not hard to look at what Willow's been doing and be like, okay, she's good, she needs that push, right? Right. I mean, overall, it was a good match, you know. Chris had great moments, Tony had great moments, Willow had awesome moments, and it's just, I don't know. Chris wins, happy for her, but I feel like that was Willow's spot to win. I don't know. Lastly, we are going to get to the main event segment, which was Mr. Kenny Omega coming back to AEW and talking to us for a little bit, you know? I'm not gonna lie, I did tear up. I did tear up during this. He started talking about, obviously, the diverticulitis, talking about his hospital stays, his surgeries, everything that kind of happened to him, and, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I did cry. Why? Because it's incredible to see somebody who has gone through so much, like Kenny has, and not only be able to overcome that and live a semi-normal life, but also go back to doing what he loves and what he does so well. Like, that's what wrestling's about. Wrestling is about those emotions that, you know, these people bring out of you. And Kenny Omega is that person that brings this emotion out of me because, you know, his story is incredible. Yeah, so he's talking about his medical issues, the things he went through, all of his internal struggles, and then finally comes out and says, I don't have a purpose unless I'm here with you guys every week, you know. So Kenny Omega's back. Thank God. Thank God. Oh my God. Obviously, it couldn't be all riding off to the sunset, happy ending type shit. Don Callis had to bring his bald ass outside. Don Callis, who, you know, historically has turned on Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega ran out of the ring to go exact his revenge, and the rest of the family came out and started jumping Kenny, which, it scares me every time Kenny takes a stomach shot now, because it just, So they were ganging up on him, jumping him, whatever, and then the surprise of the night, Will Ospreay, of all people, comes out to make the save on Kenny Omega. Like, what? What? Will Ospreay comes out with a chair in hand. God bless. I love that all of my favorites love wielding chairs. I love it. He comes out, he starts taking them out one by one. They all start running from the ring, whatever. And then we have this tense little stare down between Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. And the one thing that tells me is that this shit is not over. We are not done with Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. And I can't remember who it was in the comment. I'll probably put a screenshot of their comment in here. But we're going to go back to this comment because this is the agenda. This is the agenda. Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega for the title at All In London in 2026. That is the agenda. Oh my God. We're cooking. You know, this could be like a little temporary tag situation, you know, but eventually that's gonna go south because, you know, this is one of the greatest rivalries that have ever happened in AEW. One of my greatest rivalries of all time. But yeah, we're getting Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega again at some point, and hopefully it is for a title. It doesn't need it, but hopefully it is for one. It needs to be on a huge stage. It needs to. It needs to. They have this stare down. Will's like, I'm saving your ass again, right? Yeah. And that ended the show. That ended the show. And I was in shambles because seeing Kenny and Will in a ring across from each other again was a lot for me to handle. But overall, it was a great episode. This whole episode of Dynamite in general really felt like it kind of took me back to old AEW Dynamite, if that makes sense. Like, it was just something about it that just, you know, it made AEW feel like AEW again. For me, it just really felt like AEW was finally going back to its roots a little bit. And I love that. Now we are going to jump in to these predictions for Dynamite next week. Next week is Maximum Carnage in Cincinnati, Ohio, Jon Moxley's hometown. And we've got a few matches to make some predictions. First, we'll start with the hometown hero, Jon Moxley, versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Obviously, Hobbs won the Men's Casino Gauntlet, and now this is his shot at the AEW World title. This is actually a super interesting narrative, considering that almost like a revenge narrative. If you remember, back when Powerhouse Hobbs injured his knee, he did that in the match against Jon Moxley. He did that then. So a lot of people are like, oh, this is a revenge arc. This is, you know, I don't think that Powerhouse Hobbs is going to beat Mox. I don't. I think it's going to be a great match. I think that, you know, Powerhouse Hobbs is going to get his licks in. Ultimately, I think that Mox is going to win. I don't think it's going to be clean. You know, I think there's going to be some sort of interference or some sort of, you know, weapon thing that happens. Like something's going to go down and Mox is going to end up winning. Next match we have Christian Cage versus Hook. Now, this storyline for me, I've kind of tuned out of it recently. I just feel like it's been moving way too slow for me to stay invested into it. Right? Like, I don't know. I feel like Christian Cage and Hook should have been duking it out by now. However, I don't write for AEW. So yeah, that's I'm not really that interested. I'm just not that interested. I do want Hook to win, just because I don't really like Christian Cage's character. However, I do think that Christian Cage probably wins, just as a means to keep him strong as long as he has that contract. So, the hope is Hook, but the reality is Christian Cage. This next match is the Women's Casino Gauntlet, which I am very, 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 very excited for. I really like watching the women in AEW wrestle. I think they have a lot of talented women, and I think something like a Casino Gauntlet match is a great way to highlight your women's division. And hopefully they do that. To see who's going to be in the Casino Gauntlet match, who's going to, you know, win it. Which is why it's hard for me to make a prediction over who I think is going to win. If I had to root for somebody, obviously it would be Willow in this circumstance. Just because I think, like I've said previously, she really deserves a push like this. It really just comes down to the luck of the draw, if you will. I don't know who's going to be in that match other than Chris Statlander. So it's like, we have to wait and see. Last match I'm going to touch on is Kenny Omega's return match to AEW against Brian Cage. I feel like this is a no-brainer. Kenny Omega's gonna win. There's no way that they have Kenny Omega lose his return match. And if they do, burn it to the ground. I don't know what to tell you. It would be insane if Kenny didn't win this match. I don't know. Maybe, like, we get some interference from the rest of the Don Callis family. They come out and try to do some shit, and then Will Ospreay comes out and makes a save, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I think Kenny is for sure going to win this. If I had to put a mortgage on something, this would be something I would put the mortgage on. Right? Yeah. So, Kenny's gonna win that match. I would imagine it's clean, but I could definitely see the Don Callis family coming out and just like, yeah. So that is it for this video. If you like this, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, debate with me in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.